Life is not a box. Life is a globe. And many times, a lot of us fail to really reach our full potential in life because of living inside of a box, as opposed to exploring the world to see what it is that we really can see, to see what it is that we can accomplish within our own lives, within our own travels of life. Now, life can be a box if that's what you believe. Life can be a box if that's the only way that you prefer to live it, if that's the only way that you prefer to think that life is, or if you never really have evolved to a place to understand that life, there's so much more to life than the box that you isolate yourself in, the box that you live in, or confined within whatever environment that prohibits you from being able to really see that there's so much more to life than what it is that you have experienced. There's so much more to life than what it is that you may know. There's so much more to life than you may have identified. But I'm putting this video together because I know that there's a lot of people who either don't know that there's an actual whole world out here to be lived. There's an actual much grander version of life than the life that you may be living within that box, within that confined space. There's actually a whole world to see. There's a whole world to see. God didn't just create that one spot, that one section that you live in. He didn't just create that one opportunity to exist. He created a whole world, bro. He created a whole world that you can see, that I can see, that we can explore. You know, no shade on my parents, no shade on them at all when I mention this. I'm only mentioning this to make a point, but the both of them really grew up. I used to hear them all the time say that they're pretty much content with not traveling, content with not going anywhere, content with just going to work and coming home, content with not ever getting on a plane to see what it looks like from an aerial view, content with not getting on a plane to, go to different locations in the world, content with just being in the position that they've been in their entire life. And again, I don't say that, to shade them or shame them or nothing like that, regardless of us not having much of a relationship. And of course, those who are familiar with me a little bit know that I don't have a relationship with my parents. So this isn't about that. This isn't about our differences and stuff like that. This is just me just using that as an example of like, wow, there are people out here in life that really are content and complacent with not exploring, not traveling, not seeing everything else that God has brought in this world to our life, the light that is shed in our life. You know what I'm saying? That can allow us to be able to see things and go places. Some people are content with remaining in a box. So there's a difference between being an individual who don't know, who don't realize, like the way I grew up, being in the environment that I was in, I had no idea that there was a such thing as evolving. I had no idea that there was so many other things to see in the world besides just being in my hood, being in my neck of the woods. I had no idea that there was much of a world that goes on outside of the world that I grew up living in. I had no idea that I would evolve and grow from being a person who would be a city person, and now I'm an individual who loves being in the elements of nature. I had no idea. I had no idea that I would grow to actually embrace nature. And I never grew up in that type of environment. I grew up pretty much in the concrete jungle. I grew up in the city. I was a city boy, So I had no idea, that I would embrace it until I stepped outside of that environment and started to explore a little bit. Going out in nature, it was brand new to me. Being out, in the woods, walking, taking nature walks and stuff like that. I had no idea that, one, that was really a thing. That's how much I was deeply rooted into, the elements that I was in. But I had no idea it was a thing. I had no idea people was out here taking nature walks and stuff like that. I had no idea. And when I did it, I didn't realize that I would actually say, this isn't so bad. I had no idea that I would actually grow to embrace it to where I don't even want to go back. I don't want to go back to this city. If I had it my way, I would now be a country boy, somebody out in the woods, up in the mountains and stuff like that. It wasn't until I took a trip We went to the mountains. We was up in the mountains, and we had a cabin for a few days. And this was the first time, my family and I, we decided to go ahead and get this cabin and go up in the mountains and enjoy being out in those elements. And it wasn't until I experienced that really opened my eyes to how much I can appreciate just doing things much different than what it is that I was accustomed to doing every single day in the box that I was living in. I had no idea that I would actually be able to explore these things. I had no idea that I would embrace it. I had no idea that I would embrace yearning for more of it. I had no idea that once I got on my first plane, I had no idea that I would appreciate being up there. I had no idea that I would appreciate being up there in the sky. I had no idea that I would appreciate being able to be in a different position in life, being in a different part of the world, as opposed to looking up at the sky, seeing the clouds above me. I could actually see the world from an aerial view where I could see the clouds beneath me. I could see the clouds beneath me. I can see the city being small from an aerial view, from a different view. I could be up there, man, and I could see parts of the world that I've never seen before, that I appreciate and I only want to see more of. But it took for me to get outside of my box. It took for me to have an open mind to explore. It took for me to do that, to get to the place of then yearning to want to do more of it. Now I have a hunger. I have a hunger to want to see more in life. I have a huge appetite to want to see more in life. I want to explore so much more in life. I want to explore the endless possibilities of how much I can actually thrive, even beyond every success that I've obtained up to this point in my life. To me, I just want to stretch. I want to see how big this world is, man. I want to see how big this globe is. I will no longer go back to thinking inside that box that I was living in. All I can do, now that I've seen the world, now that I've seen what I can do, now that I've seen my potential, now that I've seen myself succeed in certain areas of my life, I want to succeed again. I want to succeed more. I want to see how much further I can stretch in life. I'm a creative individual. I want to see how much more creative juices that I have within me. I want to surprise myself. I want to see how creative I can be. You know what I'm saying? Instead of just doing things one way, instead of just, being accustomed to what it is that I already can grasp. No, I want to challenge myself to get better. Even when it comes to my YouTube channel. When I first started this journey on YouTube, I had somewhat of an idea of what I was doing, for the simple fact that it was a bit of an easier transition for me to do YouTube because I did music. So editing was a no-brainer. Doing YouTube was a no-brainer. Editing was easier for me to pick up on. Creating content in general was a natural thing for me because I did music. I wrote songs, I wrote lyrics, I wrote raps, I created mixtapes, I created projects. So this right here was a no-brainer for me. However, don't get it twisted. Even though it was an easier transition for me to do it, it was easier for me to know this is me 100%. I still had learning curves. I still have learning curves. I'm still growing, expanding. Even though I've dropped content after content for several years, even though we grew to a point of being monetized, even though we have earnings, at the end of the day, there's still so much more that I can achieve when it comes to my platform, when it comes to communicating with you guys, when it comes to the visuals, when it comes to just being creative, being in a creative space, giving you guys creative content, being creative with the content that I bring to you guys. I have ideas and things that I still have yet to do that, of course, we're working towards doing them, But had I not been in this position, had I not challenged myself to say, let me, pick up the camera and the mic or, record videos, then it wouldn't challenge me. It wouldn't have challenged me. I wouldn't know that I would have creative juices. I wouldn't know how to get those creative juices to flow within me. I wouldn't know how to actually challenge myself and my thinking to stretch further than just settling to work that 9 to 5 or just settling to, do something in my life that absolutely does not resonate with me, that is not meaningful to me, that doesn't give me life, that doesn't give me a sense of purpose. I'm not saying having a job is a problem. I'm not saying that you got to do what you got to do. But for me, if you have a dream, if you have goals, if you have things that you want to do in life, then don't settle being in that box. Don't settle staying in that box. You may be currently in a box, but you can break out of that box. You can break out of that box just like I did. You can too. Just like I broke out of that box to explore more, Now I see the world as being filled with endless possibilities, bro, endless opportunities. But I would have never had this understanding had I stayed inside that confined element, had I stayed inside of that box. So I encourage you to overlook those fears, man, because those fears ain't doing nothing but suppressing you. Those fears is doing nothing but holding you back from being able to achieve greatness within. Those fears is not doing nothing but holding you back from getting on that flight. Those fears is doing nothing but holding you back from pursuing, man, and achieving and seeing the world, seeing God's world. Those fears is doing nothing but holding you back from stepping away from that 9 to 5 to pursue your own career, bro, to start your own business, to start your own YouTube, to do whatever it is that you really want to do, to grow that garden, bro, to create those paintings. You may be good at artistry. You may can draw like crazy, but someone in your life, someone in your world told you, just use it as a hobby and stick to your 9 to 5. Someone actually told you, because of their limited beliefs, their limited thinking, they told you drawing should just be a hobby for you. Someone told you because of their limited thinking, their limited beliefs, bro. Someone told you, they put that energy on you and told you to just draw on the side. But whatever you do, don't give up that 9 to 5. When the whole time God put you on this earth to do more drawing. God put you in this world on this earth to say, you know what? If you do more drawing, if you do more paintings, if you do more of this, I will make a way. I will create a way. I will create a lane for you to be able to do this as your 9 to 5. To trade off, to substitute that 9 to 5 to do more of what it is that I put you in this world to do. But all you have to do, my son or my daughter, all you have to do is just step outside of the box. Stand isolated to think that creative thing that I gave you is something that I gave you to do on the side. When in all actuality, God gave it to you to do full time, bro. When in all actuality, God gives you your gifts. God gives you those gifts for you to live it on a full-time basis. He gives you those gifts so that you can do more of that, so that you can walk in your purpose full time. Let me repeat that again. God gives you those gifts so that you can live your purpose full time on a full-time basis, so that you can do that thing, that creative thing that you do and do very well, so that you can do that on a full-time basis. But someone told you to stay inside the box. But it's up to you to listen. It's up to you to stay in fear. It's up to you to believe with someone else's negative projection or limited projection on you. It's up to you to stay confined because of someone else's words, as opposed to God's word, as opposed to what God said, as opposed to God putting you here on this earth to do that, to encourage another life to do it too, to showcase your creativity, to showcase your God-given abilities to the world and beyond. But all you got to do is step outside of that box. All you got to do is be brave enough to just try. What's the worst thing that could actually happen if you don't try? Just think about it. Just take time out and think about it. If you don't try, 100% your dreams and the things that you want to do won't happen. It'll stay in that box. It'll remain limited. It'll be your side hustle. It'll be the thing that you do on the side for the rest of your life, as opposed to saying, let me take a chance. What is the worst that can happen? The worst that can happen is, okay, you have more lessons that you need to learn in this journey perhaps, but you can succeed as long as you don't quit. You can make your hobby your full-time job as long as you keep pressing on. Your creative juices and the things that you want to do and you want to do on a full-time basis, you can do that as long as you don't quit, as long as you step outside of that box, as long as you understand that there's endless possibilities for you to succeed at what it is that you're gifted at. You can succeed in life with your gifts. It says in the Bible, let me make sure I don't want to say the wrong thing. It says in the Bible, now mind you, I'm not trying to put scripture on any and everybody, just using this as an example. And I believe it's in Proverbs, a man gifts maketh room for him. Just think about that. A man's gift, something that God has given you will make room for you. Just think that through. Don't let it go over your head. God gave you a gift. God gave you a gift. And it says in the word that if you use that gift, he's going to make room for you. He's going to create room for you. Meaning if all you can see is yourself in that box trying to make something big happen, don't worry. Don't worry, because once you step outside of those fears, bro, once you step outside of that box and start operating in your gift, no worries. That's where God steps in. That's where God comes in. He's going to create the room that you need. He's going to create the space in the room that you need in order for your dream, in order for your gift to propel, bro. He's going to create that space. Right now, you may just be residing in a box with your ideas, but don't think that limited. That box is temporary. Step outside of that box. I encourage you to step outside of that box and allow God to make room for you to continue to do the very thing that you enjoy doing, and trust God, trust the process. You got to trust the process. You got to trust God. He's going to make room for you. You got to believe that he's going to make room for you to live out that dream, to live out that vision, to walk in your gift on a full-time basis. But you got to believe, you got to step outside of that box, man. You got to step outside of that box. He gave us this world. He gave us our gifts. He gave us our dreams, our passions, and everything that we want to do. He gave them to you for a reason. And don't you dare let nobody who don't understand your vision, who don't know your purpose, tell you about your purpose. A person who you've only known for maybe a month, who you work with, a person who you've only known for 3 months, someone in school, a person who have only known you for a small margin of your life. Do not let that person who has never walked a mile in your shoes tell you what to do with your life. Don't let them tell you to remain limited with something that God told you that you could do for the rest of your life. You just got to step outside of that box. You just got to believe. You got to act on it. And I encourage you to make today be the day, if you haven't already, to start that journey of stepping outside of the box and seeing life for more than just staying in a confined element, and start living in your purpose today, now. If you appreciated this video, like the video, subscribe to the channel. Please share it with a friend. Please turn on your post notification bell. That way you guys will not miss it if you like content like this. We drop content regularly, a few times within the week. My goal is to drop a video every day. If I miss one, you better believe I'm not missing the second one. So you guys got to be locked in to not miss this love muscle that we're growing, to not miss these videos. All right. As always, do what brings life to you. And it's a great chance that you'll bring life to wherever it is that you do. You already know. To the next video, rain, sleet, or snow, the goal is to #grow. I will see you guys in the next one. I look forward to seeing you guys in the next video. I appreciate all of y'all for supporting what we do. I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace and blessings. One love, strength.